So for today's class, I'll first walk you through my Moodle account. Let me start the screen sharing option. Okay, I believe you all can now see my screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
great. Wait a minute. So this is my Moodle account, and I'm sure the page for this section, opinion writing section B, this also looks like the same on your account. I just wanted to show you that each folder has all the details and information, and even including PowerPoint slides that you should have. So first five folders I gave you, for the first five folders I gave you a quiz exam, and I know that I have to get them back to you. I have already showed the exam to the other section. However, I will get the graded papers to you as well as soon as I can, hopefully by next week. And then we did column writing. These are my PowerPoint slides. Feature writing, my PowerPoint slides. I shared multiple articles of Muhammad Hanif. I even shared these articles with you through email. Here are notes. These are my notes that I copied from a book, and you can see they are here. Under this folder, I highly recommend that you read them, and I also recommend that you do a close reading to get a better understanding of feature. It is important if you actually read them. This is my lecture from the last class. Actually, in last class we had a writing session, and this is my lecture from the class before that. These are some more notes where I have, these are actually book chapters. These are PDF copies of book chapters. I have I extracted them from a book on opinion writing, and these notes are specifically on column writing. Then feature writing continues here. These are some more notes. This is actually again a book chapter on feature writing, and this is my today's PowerPoint slide, and I'll talk about that shortly. As you can see here, this will be your writing portfolio session, and this probably is going to be your recorded presentation folder. And then my coming lectures will come here. I am recording today's lecture, and soon after I finish this class, I will upload the recording of this lecture in the same folder. I started recording lectures soon after we moved to online learning. I did not record any lecture when we were doing in-person learning. For this reason, in all these folders, you will only see either notes or my PowerPoint slides. Any question about, I just wanted to walk you through the Moodle account. Everything is available there. Any question? Can I stop the sharing of my screen for the Moodle?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, great. Now, another important announcement. We will have our last writing session, which is going to be the 5th writing session on Thursday, February the 10th. I just shared that information in the chat box as well. Please make sure you circulate the message and let everyone know that this is our last writing session. Excuse me, I just had a spill. I had a glass of water and I spilled it. Give me a minute. Give just. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. I usually have a glass of water filled right next to my computer. My throat gets dry a lot, and so I have water with me almost all the time, and I just spilled it. And the water spread everywhere on my desk anyways. So we were talking about the last writing session. It's going to be next Thursday, not this coming Thursday, but the Thursday that comes after, that comes next week. With this, that writing session is our last one, and that is going to be about review writing, how we write reviews. I'll give you lecture on review writing in my next class. Please make sure you don't miss a writing session, as that is a graded activity. And with that, I am also yeah, I will give you a rubric for the writing portfolio in the next class. Any questions about writing portfolio, writing session, or anything?
Ma'am, I have a question. We don't have any final exam of this course, right?
No, we do. You do not have any final exam. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Writing session is the last task for our, I guess, this
Right.
semester, this
All
course.
each writing session was a graded activity. If you miss it, you are likely to lose marks. And however, for the last thing, you need to compile all your writing, all your write-ups.
Okay.
When you took part in the writing session, I never judged your work. That was a learning session. I mean, I commented on your work, I suggested edits. However, I believe that after all these writing sessions and after my lectures and guidance, now you are in a position that you can come up with a revised and improved draft. So please copy your content from the files, the Google Doc files. They are not editable, they are still viewable. So copy them and paste them in your writing portfolio. Your writing portfolio should have all 5 write-ups. Any further question?
No, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Can you also share the links of all those documents on Moodle?
Links?
Yes, where we wrote all the writing activities.
They are not hard to locate. So when you go to your Gmail account, you see a set of dots right next to Gmail. Those are, when you click those dots, it asks you, do you want to go to Google Drive or Google Doc? So just hit the Google Doc and it will take you to all previous files. But if you still have problem, do let me know in my next class and I will walk you through, just like I just walk you through my Moodle account, I'll walk you through those Google Doc files.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, Aisha, but do give it a try. It's not hard to find. Again, when you are signing into your Gmail account, it asks you options. Do you want to go to your Gmail account, or do you want to Google Drive or Google Meet? It offers multiple accessories. So whatever you want to, and just click the Google Doc file, and it will open up all the files that you have worked on.
Okay, ma'am.
All right. So let me start the sharing of my screen with you. Okay, this is what we are doing today. Now you may have a question after seeing the screen. I would like to request you all to please turn on your cameras, except for those who appear to have problem and they have already shared their problem with me. Okay. Features, you may be wondering, why are we doing features again? We already did a writing session on feature last time and we wrote introductory paragraph of features, so why are we doing this again? And let me explain here. In our last session, when we were doing features, I noticed one thing. Majority of you were spending way more time setting up the background. And so, for example, the feature was about online learning in the wake of pandemic, online learning after pandemic. And if you are spending 1 to 2 paragraphs in setting up the background, like this is coronavirus started in Wuhan, which is a city of China, and all that, blah blah. Now this sounds boring, right? With this kind of writing, it is quite likely that your reader will not feel tempted to read your writing. The beginning of feature is dramatic. Mostly it is dramatic. It is dramatic to grab the attention of readers. It is also dramatic because they pay special attention to overall presentation. Does it all make sense? So unlike editorial, which is very simple, unlike column that also appears with just one picture, presentation in feature is very catchy, appealing, interesting. I think Misha, may I invite you to share your experience? I don't remember the sentence that she wrote, but I particularly remember the way she started. It felt like she was writing in a conversational style, and her first two sentences, or maybe her first 3-4 sentences, were quite appealing, engaging in the sense that at first her beginning was not as appealing as she made it later. Misha, would you like to share your experience? Sorry, it's not like I'm dragging you to
No,
speak.
I'm sorry.
Okay, sure.
Um,
Go ahead.
It was basically like to just make it a bit dramatic. I started like when we earlier when we were kids or something like that. Our parents used to tell us to um, decrease our screen time and not watch laptops or TVs for longer period of time. However, now it is like we do not have any other option for students. They have to be online uh, for their studies, and they cannot avoid that.
Hmm. Yeah, very good. So Misha essentially played with the idea of control. In our society, I mean, in parenting, and it's not about Pakistan only, it happens in other countries too. Parents, I mean, this is one thing in parenting, that parents should be controlling children's screen time. And what about when it comes to online learning? In online learning, all happens on screen, and so it's like, where do we now draw the boundaries for parents and for children? And that kind of idea she kind of played with. Let me tell you one thing. Feature is a place where a writer can exercise a lot of creativity, a lot of creativity. I mean, you can play with words, you can play with ideas, you can play with style, you can play with sentence structures, and this is something that makes feature more interesting and more engaging than any other piece of writing. Somebody has mic on. All right. Now, let me move to for this very reason, I decided to have one more lecture on feature writing. And this is my last lecture. In our next class on Thursday, we are going to talk about reviews. We will, and that is also one of the very interesting pieces of opinion writing. I believe so far you all have read movie reviews. I mean, movie reviews, drama reviews, sometimes restaurant reviews, and how review is another form of opinion writing, and we'll talk about that in the next class. Today is our last class for feature writing, and I have told you the reason why I decided to come up with one more lecture on feature. In feature, the presentation is always dramatic, and especially its beginning. Let's see what we have here. In this slide, I have written that feature stories read more like non-fiction short stories, which inform readers and viewers, but also amuse, entertain, inspire, or stimulate. Non-fiction, what is non-fiction? Can anyone recall any writer for non-fiction? One name that comes in my mind is Bertrand Russell, J.S. Mill, John Stuart Mill. Any other idea? Non-fiction. In Urdu, we have non-fiction writers in Urdu as well. What about Kudrat Shahabullah? How many of you have read Shahabnama? It's a very famous book. But I believe you have heard about it, even if you haven't read it.
Yes, ma'am. सुना हुआ है लेकिन पढ़ा हुआ नहीं है.
And that book is not based on any story. It's not based on any novel. It's not fiction. It's non-fiction. It's Mumtaz Mufti is also famous for writing non-fiction. So feature is that it also amuses. And what do I mean by amusing? Amuse, something that which is fun. So amuse, like we enjoy reading it. People enjoy reading it. And that is why we use the term human interest. There is an element of human interest in features, and that which is called soft news. Are you familiar with this term, human interest? I believe you learned this in MCOM 101 or 201 or in any other course. Human interest. So they emphasize on human interest. Features may describe a person, a place, a process, or idea rather than an event. It's not important for a feature writer to write on an event like 9/11 or or earthquake. You may write on a person, Princess Diana, Michael Jackson. It may be Elvis Presley. You may choose a person. You may choose a place, Taj Mahal, Lahore Fort. You may write on a process. I gave you examples like if NASA is planning a trip to Mars, let's say in 2035, and they are getting a robot ready to send into the space in the space shuttle. That is a process, and you may find a feature on that or any idea. So it can be written on anything. You see, the writer has a range of topics on which he or she can actually write. Here comes my next slide. Reporters use no single formula, such as the inverted pyramid. When I was reading your write-ups, for the most part, I felt people were kind of still adhering to the idea of inverted pyramid. Majority were actually adhering to the idea of setting up a background. It's not like an essay. Again, your job in the beginning is to grab the attention of your readers, and writer must do that. When writing a feature story, journalists may borrow techniques from fiction writers like description, sensory details, quotes, anecdotes. What are anecdotes? What are anecdotes? Are you all with me? Somebody raised hand. Go ahead, please. Zunaira, go ahead. What is anecdote?
Ma'am, I think you told us in last class that there's stories, but at times written in a humorous manner.
Yeah. And not necessarily. Anecdote is, in Urdu, we use a word, kissa. If I want to explain something, I can use an anecdote. Or if I say, let me give you, to explain this, let me give you an anecdote. I met that person, I went there, I saw this, I experienced this, then this is anecdote. I'm telling you a story. Like I said, in Urdu, we use a word which is called, wait a minute. We use a word in Urdu which is called kissa. You can tell stories. I mean, to make your writing again more appealing and interesting for your readers. And personification as well. Personification is when, if I say Qaid-e-Azam was a personification of determination. That is like I am kind of trying to embody. I'm sort of presenting an embodiment that he was a very determined person. So another example of personification. His spirits are as high as mountains. That is again personification. Like I am actually trying to represent someone with something. That is personification. I hope I have made it clear. So you find quotes, you find anecdotes, personifications, details, description, anything. And as you can see, the writer can be very, very creative here. They may use characterization, scene setting, plot structure, and other novelistic elements to dramatize a story's theme and add details. What do I mean by novelistic here? What is the meaning of novel? Novel means new. For us, novel is something that is a story, a fiction, but novel, its dictionary meaning is also new. novelistic elements. This piece of writing allows you creativity. This piece of writing actually gives you the margin to be as creative as you want. So usually they employ all of these things to dramatize. Like when I began, I gave example of Misha. She started in a conversational style. You can also even use second person narration style, in which it's like a second person narration style is like you are addressing your reader. Are you worried about heat stroke? This is how you can avoid. Are you worried about price hiking? This is what you can do living in Pakistan. This is second person narration, and journalists can do that. I'll stop here to take your questions if you have any. If not, then I'll continue. Feature stories are journalism. They are not creative pieces of writing. In creative writing, writers sometimes make up things. Journalists are not supposed to make up things. Well, if you ask me personally what feature is for me, I'll use a word to describe feature. To me, feature is factual presentation. I just wrote it in the chat box. When you are presenting facts, that is feature. So writer is not supposed to make up things. Like news stories, features must be factual and original. They must be fair and balanced based on verifiable information. They must also be objective. By objective, here I mean give accurate information. They are not essays or editorials. They must be accurate. If they are not accurate, they are not news. They are fiction. It is a sort of presentation which is interesting, engaging, but based on facts. If you in creative writing, you don't worry about facts. In feature, you do. This is how feature writing is different from creative writing. The most crucial step in writing a good feature story is making the topic fresh, dramatic, colorful, and exciting. I'll talk about that more in a minute. Sometimes interviews are also part of feature writing. Not always, though. It's not necessary that you always find interviews in features. Here, I think in one of our classes, one of you, I think Alima Arif was there. You asked me examples about Ek Din Jio Ke Saath, and there is this program 73 questions Vogue. You asked me about that too, and that is a sort of presentation. You see how the presenter of that program has been creative. Like their presentation is dramatic. The way they begin their interview, their presentation is also colorful and exciting. And with every, I mean, after every segment, you want to know more and more. This is how feature goes. Successful feature writers experience their story firsthand instead of just relying on interviews of others. Let me explain this with an example. Let's say I want to write a feature on Taj Mahal. I have never been to Taj Mahal. It's important for me, if I want my feature to be a success, it is very important for me to go visit Taj Mahal. Only then I can have first-hand knowledge. Otherwise, I mean, I can, if I depend on library, if I depend on other people who have already written on Taj Mahal, its history, what are its dimensions, what is its size, how much area it covers, and all of that, that is not going to fascinate my readers. I want to attract my readers for my writing, and that is only possible when I have the first-hand knowledge. This is the success of your feature. I would like Manahil to quickly go over what I just explained. Manahil, are you with us? And your camera is also off. Manahil Umar. Well, looks like she's there, but not actually there. Mirza Fahad, can you please turn on your camera and just explain the last point? Re-explain the last point that I just explained. Muid, let Fahad do it. Fahad.
मैम मैं एक्चुअली ड्राइव कर रहा हूँ मैं सुन नहीं पाया
Fahad, you are doing the class while driving. Beta, this is the time allocated for your class.
मैम इम्पोर्टेंट काम था इसलिए
Okay, for your own safety, I recommend that you log out. For your own safety.
ठीक है मैम थैंक यू
All right. Who else do I have here? Muid. Muid, are you with us?
Yes, ma'am.
Muid, can you quickly explain the last point?
मैम एक्चुअली मैं फाद के साथ बाहर आया हूँ तो मैम आपका पॉइंट नहीं मैं सुन सका
All right. Seriously, Muid? I mean,
जी मैम
this, I do not know how to respond to this situation.
मैम एक्चुअली एन ब्लॉक में कुछ काम था तो उन्होंने अपॉइंटमेंट दी हुई थी डिग्री आर्ट की
Although we are doing online learning here, you are enrolled in a degree program, and for this you need good grade for your course, so that it reflects your performance on your transcript. So I
Yes,
think
ma'am.
you should respect that commitment, and you should take it serious, shouldn't you?
मैम
Are you also driving? If you are, for your own safety, please log out. And please be attentive.
Okay, ma'am.
Please
you.
be attentive to the class next time. All right.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Who else do I have here? Excuse me. Who else do I have here? Let me see. Muneeb, may I ask you? Muneeb Sultan. Just explain the last part. I just explained it.
Yes, ma'am. I was going through the first two ones. You were talking about that the feature must be, fresh and it should reflect the.
Well, the first two points are pretty self-explanatory. Zunaira, may I ask you to explain the third point again?
Yes, ma'am. So if I know that Muhammad Hanif doesn't write features, feature
No, he
writer,
doesn't.
right, ma'am?
Yeah, he usually writes columns. His are not features.
Oh, okay. So, but the way he describes edition, it could be an example of how you can write a feature as well.
Yeah. All right. So, can you all hear me? I feel like my internet connection is not stable. Can you all hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Then maybe it's Zunaira's connection that is not stable. Let me re-explain the last point. It's like the writer should have first-hand knowledge on the topic that he wants to write about. First-hand knowledge means, so let's say I want to write a feature on the Rawat Fort, which is in Bahawalpur. I should visit that place instead of only reading from articles or listening from other people. Actually doesn't give me enough knowledge to handle that topic. So this is what I mean by first-hand knowledge. Misha, beta, maybe you want to ask a question. Go ahead, please.
Ma'am, does this first-hand experience mean that it is referring to primary research
Yes.
rather than on secondary research?
Yes. This is referring to being part of that experience. You are right. Have you, does this answer your question, Misha?
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, let's move on to my next slide. These are some types of features. these are mostly you can find these types of features in magazines or in newspapers or even in electronic media. So journalists, reporters, writers, they consult several sources to obtain a well-rounded account. What may I mean here by well-rounded? I'm sure you all are familiar with the term all-rounder. This is the term that we use in game. An all-rounder kind of player is a player that has quality, that has almost all qualities, right? Well-rounded is a well-rounded knowledge is the knowledge of each and every component, comprehensive and overarching sort of knowledge. Account means details. The journalist should have a very comprehensive and overarching sort of details on the topic. So following are different kinds of features. Here we are going to talk about different kinds of features. There can be features on profiles, history, adventure, experience, seasonal features, explanatory, and how to. And in the coming slides, I'll explain all of these types one by one. Let's talk about personality features. They are also known as profile features. These are features that are written on persons. What kind of persons? They may have overcome a difficulty or problem. So let's say a feature on people or a feature on a person who migrated during the 1947 subcontinent partition. Now, he is a person who has witnessed a problem or a difficulty that this area had. And he can talk about his experiences. He or she can talk about experiences. Similarly, a person who survived 2005 earthquake, he also overcame a difficult situation. So you can write a feature on him, how what he experienced, what kind of circumstances he went through, how did it all happen, what did he see, and all of that. On someone who has an interesting hobby, people have different hobbies. So for example, you see a person who seems to be lunatic in the sense that he collects things, or he is engaged in any interesting in any hobby. You may write a feature on him. People who have unusual career, you may find a feature on Benazir Bhutto. She had unusual career in the sense that she was a leader of first woman leader of a Muslim country. Same is the case with Surgeon General Nigar Johar in Pakistan. She also had an unusual career in the sense that she this is first time a woman was raised to the rank of general in within Pakistan's armed forces. So this is unusual career, and you can find features on such personalities. Colorful personalities, usually such features are written on showbiz persons. I remember reading features in multiple newspapers on Michael Jackson soon after he died, soon after his death. Similarly, a feature on Elvis Presley. So all of these are examples. To be effective, profiles must be more than an individual's achievement. So do not talk about only his achievements, talk about multiple aspects of the personality. To gather the necessary information, feature writers often watch their subjects at home, visit them at home, and interview friends, relatives, and business associates. It's very good example in electronic media is Ek Din Jio Ke Saath. And I remember quite vividly, we did discuss this example in one of our classes. Historical features are next. They commemorate important events like Pearl Harbor, partition of the subcontinent, dismemberment of East Pakistan. Similarly, news organizations also publicize anniversaries or the births and deaths of famous people. For example, a feature on Hamid Nizami, who was the founder of Nawai Waqt newspaper in Pakistan, a feature on Mir Khalilur Rahman, who was father of Mir Shakilur Rahman, the current CEO of Geo and Jung Group. Historical features may also describe famous storms, like I said, 2005 earthquake, landmarks. Landmarks are turning points. So, for example, COVID-19 was a landmark. It kind of, like, in 21st century, when science is so advanced and medical equipment and medical research and all these technologies, they make healthcare so controllable. In such circumstances, the world saw a pandemic, which was sort of a landmark thing. And even if somebody comes up with a vaccine, that, I mean, right now we are getting multiple shots of vaccine, and we are in a situation of debating about the efficacy of vaccines. However, if somebody comes up with a vaccine that saves humanity for future from this disease, that is going to be a landmark event. Same thing happened with diseases like measles, influenza, and several other diseases. So something that is landmark is usually a turning point on anything. People who are pioneers, education, improvements, entertainment, events, and building. All of this is related to history. Any feature on Bashahi Mosque, any feature on any building, on Anarkali's tomb, Jahangir tomb, is going to be historical feature. Adventure feature is next type that we will discuss. They describe unusual, exciting experiences. If someone who survives an airplane crash, climbs a mountain, sailed around the world, or have toured around the world on a bicycle, that would be adventure feature. In this type of feature story, quotations and descriptions are especially important, because you want to quote people who have gone through that experience. This is my next example, and this is again the example that I have already explained many times while talking about features. Seasonal features that are written on events, seasons, holidays, Eid, Christmas, Independence Day, Miladun Nabi, Mela Charaga, and all that. By the way, why Mela Charaga? When does this happen in Lahore? In November? What, I can't recall. Mela Charaga. It's the anniversary of Madhu Lal Hussain, who was a Sufi saint in Lahore, I believe. And but I can't remember the time period. Such stories are difficult to write, because to make them interesting, feature writers must do a detailed research. Explanatory features. They mean to provide additional information on a particular topic. Here I have the example. Let me click here and it will open up the page. Okay, I'm stopping the sharing of my screen so that I can actually take you to the link. And I started sharing of my screen again. This right here is an example of explanatory feature. Zunera, I would like you to pay special attention here. Maybe the writer of this writer, he writes columns as well, but this is not a column. This is a feature. And how do we identify? Let me help. First of all, it's very lengthy. Can you see when I scroll it down? Very detailed. You see, are you seeing the details? And are you seeing the length as well? And it has quotes too. It has this box information, box story, like it has highlighted this information here. It has quotes as well. You see quote. This is a quote. Are you with me?
Yes, I am, ma'am. Yes, I am.
Yeah. So it has quotes as well. It's very lengthy. And I think if it comes on in physical copy, it will go to 5 pages. This is my guess. Just look at the length of this. And then it has pictures as well. It is all full of pictures. Let me scroll it down. First of all, you see the beginning. It's the title of this feature is Who Killed Benazir Bhutto? This article was published on December 28th. She died, Bhutto died in 2007. So the article was published roughly 12 years after her death. And yeah, so see, it has subheading as well. You see this subheading and then this subheading. And then you see box story too. I just showed you, this is a box story. like highlighted information from the article. You see the title, the way he has written the title itself is very catchy. This is also box story. That something that you see on the left side of the screen is also this is box story. And then here we see illustration. This is illustration. And then we see pictures with captions. This picture, and you see this information they have given quotations as well. This again box story, another picture, another picture, and then end. This was the example of feature, and this was actually an example of explanatory feature. I'm going to stop the sharing of my screen and I'll go back to my slide. Okay. Does it help you differentiate between a column and a feature now? The example that I just showed you. Anyone can answer? Anyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Does it help you identify the difference and especially differentiate? This was a kind of,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, this was a kind of explanatory feature. Next is how to do it features. They tell readers how to perform some task. By the way, New York Times has many articles that come under this category. They have a segment, its name is recommendations from Wirecutter. They have another segment, its name is smart and healthy living, something like that. So this is how to do it features. They may describe a tangible project like building a house, planting a garden, or training a puppy. Now, this is another hyperlink, and I'm stopping the sharing of my screen again to take you to the page. All right, here we go. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, see, this is a feature which was published in Dawn back in 2019, and its title is How to Prevent and Cure Heat Stroke. Now, heat stroke is a common problem that many people suffer from, especially when the temperature gets very intense in summers. So this is a feature. And now just take a look at its presentation. This is the main title, and then some subheading, and then another subheading, and here the subheading comes in the form of a question mark. All right, and then illustrations, symptoms, but with illustrations. The presentation is very what should I say, very appealing. How to prevent, again illustrations, take a shower, avoid caffeine and sugary drinks, stay hydrated. All right, treatment, information comes in the form of bullets. This is what I keep emphasizing from the beginning. In a feature, while writing a feature, a writer can be as creative as he wants. So there is no set rule, there is no set pattern. So you can come up with bullets, you can come up with illustrations, you can come up with quotations, you can even come up with a sort of dialogue in which you sort of seem engaged in conversation. So this was an example of how to do feature. I'm stopping the sharing of my screen again to go back to my slide. All right, and here comes my last slide. News stories are usually written in third person style, where reporter is observer or outsider. Feature can be written in any style. It can be written in first person style, second person style as well. Mostly it's written in first person or second person style. Second person narration style is as though writer is addressing you. So for example, if I ask, are you worried about getting worried about COVID-19? Have you got your vaccination certificate, that is second person narration style. It can also be written in first person narration style. It depends on writer. Usually writers actually, like I said earlier, they play with words, they play with sentences, they play with styles and everything. And this is something that makes feature one of the most catchy presentations. All right. Any question? Any question?
No, ma'am. Explanatory फीचर जो है वो मतलब पुराने वाक्यों पे लिखा जा सकता है, जैसे बेनजीर भट्टो को फौत हुई थी कोई 12 साल पहले और उनका फीचर लिखा गया था 2005 कब 12 में.
But that will be a historical feature. Explanatory feature is when you are explaining something further. You can also find an explanatory feature on COVID-19. Let me show you another example. I am starting the sharing of my screen again. All right. This is another, oh, where did it go? Sorry, it just disappeared. Let me open it up again. Give me a minute, please. All right. I'm starting the sharing of my screen. For some reason, it keeps vanishing. I hope it stays. All right. This is the example that I shared in one of my classes. And this is an explanatory feature. This feature is related to global warming, climate change, which is one of the most pressing issues at the moment. And it's not on any topic which is old, as you can see. So this is on a topic which is very current. And if you pay attention to its presentation, it's very catchy. See, I do not know if, do you see these graphics? Here you see planet on fire.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you see the earth moving and then at the same time burning? Do you see fire blazes? I am not sure. So you see another caption comes, human history drowned by the sea, and then earth starts moving again. This presentation is now very engaging, very engaging and appealing. And as I see it, I want to see more. I want to read more. So I further scroll it down. Economies devastated, lives ruined. These 193 stories show the reality of climate change in every country in the world. Opinion, not a column, not an editorial, not a letter to the editor, definitely a feature. Postcards from a world on fire. And now this explains this graphics really well. You see how these graphics are aligned with the caption, with the title here. Scroll down to see how the planet is changing. Tap the green buttons to hear sounds, watch videos, and learn more. This is, I did share the link in the class when I showed this, but people were having trouble accessing the article because of the subscription issue. And then I remember I showed it from my own screen. So this is New York Times presentation. Oh, sorry, it vanished. All right, I am stopping the sharing of my screen. I'll take your questions if you have any. Questions, please? Kamil, Munib, Zargam, Ahmed Bete, Shahrukh. Shahrukh, can you please turn on your camera? I think he is the only student who I don't know by face. Any question? All right, if you do not have any question, I would like to assign you to work on an activity. I'll ask you questions on that in the next class. I don't want to do more lecturing because I believe it will be boring for you then. I have uploaded a feature on Moodle in the title, in the folder titled as feature continued, and it's an example of feature. It's a feature which was published in this magazine, Herald. Herald was a monthly magazine which Dawn used to publish. They stopped publishing it in 2019. But I have shared a feature with you which was published in Herald a few years ago. So do give it a read, and you will get some more understanding. By the way, you can find Herald online as well. Herald.com. किसी को पता है Herald? Have you ever read this magazine? Herald was a very well respected, famous magazine which Dawn used to publish. It's sad that they stopped publishing it. All right. If you do not have any questions, I'll do your attendance and then I'll leave the class.
Ma'am, the activity
Ma'am, I
is we just have to read the article.
Yes, just read the article for better understanding. That's
Okay,
it.
thank you.
Someone else was also asking question. Go ahead, please.
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to ask, am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Okay. I wanted to ask, in the letter to the editor, I was actually confused about something. If I am to send, suppose my whatever I have written to a newspaper, do I send it solely to that newspaper and wait for the response before I can send it to another newspaper?
Yes, the answer is yes. Because you do not want to, if you send it to multiple editors, you do not want appear the same write-up in multiple newspapers at the same time. That may close your doors for future publications.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
my suggestion is wait for a week. By the way, Zunara, please do remind me this in the next class. My student in other section, your section is B. In other section, he got his article published in the Express Tribune, which is a national level publication, and they seem welcoming to student works, which is a good thing.
Okay.
And
Okay.
he wrote on the topic of litter in his neighborhood, that topic. So just to give you an idea that the Express Tribune is welcoming, and he shared his write-up with me before sending it to the newspaper. I'm also happy to help. If you want me to take a look at your draft, I can. And he asked me the same question when he was trying to publish that, ma'am, is it okay if I send it to multiple publications? My answer was no, and this is what I advised him. So wait for a week, at least a week.
Okay.
Yeah. Even if they are not answering, maybe they are considering it, and maybe they will publish. So sometimes they do not answer, but you should look for the publication. It is quite likely that you find your publication there, even if they don't answer.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And sometimes, I mean, if they don't want to consider, they won't even answer. So after a week, I think you can try your luck with the other newspaper. Does it answer?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Now let me do your attendance. Today is February the 1st. Zunaira Salman, Saria Saleh, Mahnoor Amin, Sumbal Amir, Sumbal is here. Muhammad Arbaz Shafiq, Arbaz is here. Alima Tabir is here. Ushna bete, are you here? Fahad is not here. Ahmed Bashir is here. I saw him. Wafa Daud, is she here? Are you here, Wafa? Rabia Gulfam, Rabia is here. Rabia, are you here with us?
Yes, ma'am.
Hamza Javed, Jamal Javed, Faizan is on leave. He wrote me an email. Zargam is here. I saw him. Faraz Latif, Aisha Malik is on leave. Muhammad H. Malik. Mueed is not here. Misha Mubarak, Misha is here. I saw her. Awais Nasir, Awais is here. Aisha Naveed, Aisha is here. Shahrukh, are you with us, Shahrukh?
Yes, ma'am.
बेटे अपना कैमरा प्लीज ऑन किया करें नेक्स्ट टाइम से. लाइबा कैसर, अशारे, अलीजे, Usman, Muhammad Usman Rizvi. Usman is here. I saw him.
Yes, ma'am.
Ammar Rizwan. Kamil is also here.
Yes, ma'am, present.
Munib is also here. Munib Sultan. Manahil was here, but she wasn't answering anything.
Ma'am, I am here.
Bete, I asked you a question a while ago. You never answered.
Ma'am, मैं बीच में 2 दफा disconnect भी हो गई थी, so I'm not sure.
Okay, that's okay. Hassan Khan is here. All right. Thank you so very much. I'll upload a recording of this session on Moodle, and I'll see you in the next